Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. One of the big mysteries of the last several months and certainly of this off-season has been what is going to happen to iLLeY, 2020 Call of Duty World Champion winner, one of the best players no doubt at the start of last season. Will he be getting a spot at the start of this year? Shotzzy, after having a conversation behind the scenes with iLLeY over the last couple of days, believes this is rather unlikely. iLLeY does not seem to be the grinder that he used to be. Maybe he's still suffering with some of the problems that we saw on full display on main stage with the interview that he did back at Major 1 this season. The latest theory seems to be that iLLeY might well be forced into retirement and may never play in the CDL again. Will this come true? Is this very unfortunate for the community? Absolutely. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. As always, plenty to get into today. Firstly, couple of Rostermania things just to mention. Vegas Falcons, they of course are a team for the new season. This is not, however, their full roster. Vivid, by the way, did apparently say on stream yesterday that he is going to be starting the season on a team. So that is a couple of options. Either G2, Minnesota Rocker, or alternatively, could he be the SMG duo to Gwyn on, of course, the Ravens? Ravens have Gwyn. They still technically have Fellow, right? Because they've kept him as a restricted free agent. So they can bring him back. Of course, TJ, I would say, needs a spot somewhere. That could still be alongside Gwyn. That could be to the Rocker. I don't know. But there are some interesting options out there right now, but it seems like Vivid is going to return to one of those two franchises, is at the very least the latest rumour. And just a couple of other hints as well as to what's happening with like Toronto and teams such as that. TJ puts out the classic image, free my brother at Benjamin Beans. I think he was in the replies as well as always. But there was also this. So Nastie kind of tweeted about the organisation, Los Angeles Thieves, getting let go, obviously onto his next chapter, right? And we're pretty sure it's going to be the Seattle Surge. But JoeDeceives then says, my Ginge, absolutely love playing with you and there's no other AR that I'd want to bait me. And Nastie then says, that's a lot better. Look after my special mate, he says. So, of course, the rumour being that JoeDeceives is going to go to Toronto, because the other option for JoeDeceives is probably Cloud9, but his Nastie boys with Attach, Sib, or like, you know, Kremp or Nero, like maybe Kremp, I suppose. I guess you could argue that if he was going in there with Kremp, but it seems less likely. It's more likely that Nastie gets on quite well with, you know, Beans or those guys, and therefore it's going to be Toronto. That was the potential read between the lines there. But let's talk about iLLeY, because he tweeted this out on the 25th of August, 2024, just basically a month ago, free agent for the 2025 CDL season. So iLLeY's had a roller coaster career, and everyone knows about, you know, the potential wasted talent and stuff like this. People who haven't been around for 10 years, which I don't blame you if you haven't been around the COD scene for that long, won't remember that iLLeY was the most hyped prospect of all time in Call of Duty history. Like, more so than Simp, more so than Dashy, more so than Cellium, right? And to be fair, part of that was because iLLeY was, like, a bit younger than Simp, and therefore he couldn't compete for another year when Simp was competing, and iLLeY had been that guy in Search and Destroy chals, in online tournaments. Like, he was the guy that everyone feared, even more so in some respects than Simp the sick joke himself. So when the prospect arrived of him getting into the league, it was a massive deal in the community when he was finally old enough to play, and in his very first year he wins the world championship on the Dallas Empire, right? So at that point his career is set up to be incredible, and then 2 years after that he's on OpTic. So like, everything was going perfectly well. Of course, the thumb injury derailed things massively, but it's not just been that why the last couple of years have been supremely challenging for iLLeY. So Shotzzy, of course, got along with iLLeY well and presumably still does, but as Shotzzy mentions here, iLLeY has been the biggest grinder, like, in Call of Duty ever. To such an extent, of course, that even when he had his thumb injury, he was reportedly playing on a burner account so that maybe Rambo wouldn't find out or whatever, so that he was still grinding even though the doctor was telling him to rest. That's the type of guy that iLLeY is. But as, you know, Shotzzy says, over the last few days, there have been a ton of chals, Black Ops 3 chals, stuff like that, and you'd expect iLLeY to be in them, to be playing them right, to be getting ready for the new game, to be doing a bit of networking with certain players to try and get a roster for next season. But as Shotzzy says, and he might be playing on a burner, right? But he's obviously not playing the Black Ops 3 chals, and he's not been on Battle.net to play the new Call of Duty games in a month. And Shotzzy says he's had a conversation with him behind the scenes scenes, and well, he knows iLLeY's situation. He doesn't want to say too much on it publicly, but Shotzzy's read on it is that the most likely situation right now is that iLLeY never plays competitive Call of Duty on this level again.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Dude, I don't know the inner situation, bro. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what, like...
Listen, bro. I think I have the best opinion on Ender. If Ender was, like, good to go, like, ready to play, he'd be in all these Black Ops 3 chows. He'd be like... Bro, Ender's always been a grinder. Always. And now he's just not a grinder. So that tells me something's wrong.
Bro, he hasn't played... He hasn't gotten on BattleNet in over a month.
Really?
Yeah, I have Madden.
Is that what you're looking at right now?
Yeah, I'm literally... Look, iLLeY. Offline for 1 month. I know Ender, he's definitely dirty enough to, like, get on a ringer and grind, but, like... It wouldn't make sense to do that because of the fact here. Listen to me, or listen to this. So going into this last off season, like going into MW3 or whatever, right? He would always play fucking Cold War chows, like with Byron and like all these other guys, and he was fucking running people. But
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like he would
this
be
off season, he's yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, fuck, dude.
Actually,
I don't think
so
he's playing,
bro. If
I think he's literally retiring. I mean, deadass too.
If Ender's like healthy and good to go, he's gross. He could be a real like heavy player if he can make it work.
Ah, fuck. Didn't know I did because I kind of know like the situation, bro. But like, I've already reached out to Ender, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I already know the situation, bro. Like, but it's fucked for me to say it because like it's just something that is between me and him type shit, you know. So I'd rather like not say it.
So what has Shotzzy heard about the iLLeY situation? What is actually going on over there? And, you know, is the situation that we saw earlier this year continuing on some level, right? Because, of course, the big talking point at the start of the season was this famous interview, right? That iLLeY did back at Major 1. And even after this interview, he was talking to the press. I had a quick conversation with him, but I don't think you can really call it a conversation because, like, you know, it was, yeah, I don't really want to go into the details again. It was tough to watch, is all I'll say. But the reality is that for whatever reason, Seattle Surge, after a great start to the season for iLLeY, he was great in Search and Destroy. He was their best player, no doubt about it. I mean, I even remember his first ever series, right? I mean, I think his first map maybe was like a terminal hardpoint that he played of this season with Surge, and he was like double positive or something, and it was like, wow, iLLeY, welcome back to the league, right? Back for, not exactly revenge, but, you know, he was an OpTic. Things didn't end, especially according to plan. The thumb injury happened. They eventually decided to move on, and, you know, that was unfortunate. And there were, of course, rumors that some of the things that we're talking about with this interview were also going on the OpTic days, and therefore, you know, they just decided to move on, basically. But, of course, then he was teaming up with Hook and with Rambo, and there was talk about the OpTic curse, whether they could, you know, even win events or win the World Championship or beat OpTic or whatever, and it started according to plan. But at Major 1, they, for some reason, allow iLLeY to come out on stage when he's clearly had rather too much caffeine, which was iLLeY's explanation, but, you know, many would say maybe Adderall was involved, maybe it wasn't. But, like, for some reason they allowed him to come on stage and do this interview, and the speculation in hindsight has kind of been, did they allow this kind of deliberately just so people could see what was going on? I don't know, like maybe they recognized this as a massive issue and the Seattle boys felt like, all right, like Inder, do the interview and like show the world what's going on. I don't really know, like it was inexplicable in many ways. But fast forward to the present day, and there was a feeling and an optimism that iLLeY, of course, had gone back to, you know, gone back home to Brampton, nearby Toronto, had recovered. I don't know, like obviously Surge, they benched him and then they just like dropped him from the organization entirely. But there was a feeling that maybe iLLeY was, you know, recovering or whatever. And you'd hope that's true. But the reality is that the rumors around iLLeY about this have not been a new thing, and they've been around for many, many years. And, you know, it might just be very difficult for iLLeY to deal with that and to move on or whatever's going on. I don't really know. We don't know the answer. And Shotzzy doesn't want to say more, which is absolutely fair enough on him not to, you know, like leak too many personal things. But clearly Shotzzy believes that the likelihood of iLLeY's return to competitive play, not because he's not good enough, but because of personal stuff or things that he's still dealing with behind the scenes, I don't know, are affecting him. Because if iLLeY was ready to go, like I'm pretty sure someone would give him a chance. I mean, you look at some of these teams, you think, well, iLLeY in there on the AR would make a lot of sense. But it's just, it doesn't seem like teams are either willing to do it, or is iLLeY really ready to do it? I mean, he says he's a free agent, but in this last month, has he really shown signs of trying to get on a roster? Not really. So it's just tough to say what the reasons for that might be. But enter into your thoughts in the comment section, ladies. Just a really sad situation as far as I'm concerned if iLLeY never returns to competitive play after all the promise that he showed. Just the final thing I wanted to mention, bit of drama. So the Warzone pros are asked the question, if Shotzzy, methalZ and Kenny were in the World Series of Warzone Global Final, where would they place? And many of the pros basically saying these guys would be terrible, not because they're not talented, but just because they don't get it, right? Like, there's a lot to Warzone where you land, all the things to understand and learn. And maybe that's true in part. Obviously, the easy explanation is to say, well, Scump didn't know the meta. He dropped into a lobby and won the solo YOLO for 100k a couple of years ago now, which is true as well. Maybe in a team game it's different. I want to kind of give these guys the benefit of the doubt a little bit, that, you know, Warzone is more challenging competitively than just dropping in with no practice. But methalZ was catching some strays. There was a reaction here, and as Kenny says, just put the fries in the bag, bro. So very much into your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Did you guys see that Warzone guy on my absolute cock?
Shotzzy, methalZ, and Kenny, if they played right now,
did you guys see this?
They might place dead last.
Ah, damn, man. No practice, no nothing. They just spawned in on Saturday, Sunday. I swear to God. I mean, I'll be honest. I think they'll place higher than Redman and them for sure.
Top 10, maybe. Top 15, something around there.
Thank you,
Warzy.
Warzy.
Switch up methalZ, maybe they place higher, you know what I mean?
Dead last.
Yo, why was he on me like that?
Really great players in multiplayer, though. Warzone is a whole different game than multiplayer, though. So I would have to put them like 20.
So I quote tweeted it and I said, who the fuck is Zakar? And he said, come to Warzone and you will find out. And I said, haha, I wish you the best, man, but I've done my time as a decade-plus long professional in the most prestigious league Call of Duty has to offer. He said, I know I was clearly trolling in this. He was clearly trolling. He seemed like a vibey guy. I had to speak up, right? I could not let him get away with that. So I had to pipe up a little bit.